and welcome
to Patrick and Me
24. Today we have a special episode. We're going to be interviewing Maximo Ayon Rivera. We're going to be talking about how, let me just send it off to Patrick. Patrick here. Wait, let me have a change of clothes. We're going to interview Max. Boom!
Alright, do you confirm your previous consent for me to record this interview?
Yes.
Who are you?
My name is Maximo Ayon Rivera.
Where do you work? How long have you been in that role for?
I work at Arizona Rain Gutters and Insulation, and I've been in the production manager role for 7 years.
Which industry is represented of the organization?
Construction industry.
Construction industry? So consider your greatest achievement in that role. Provide details including the time period and the person's products and services involved. What management principles, strategies, and processes did you employ that you believe led to the effective organization outcome? Why do you consider this achievement to have been so impactful?
My greatest achievement is being productive at my job on a daily basis.
Provide details including time periods and persons, products, and services involved. That's what would you do?
Okay, just everyday tasks, making sure everything gets taken care of for the day, and make sure the guys get back safe.
So what management principles, strategies, and processes did you employ that you believe led to the effective organization outcome?
The communication with the installer themselves, on communicating on safety, productivity, and the task at hand. That helps me be productive as well as they're productive.
Why do you consider this achievement to have been so impactful?
Because it's helped me develop in this career path.
To what extent did you? Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, to what extent did you utilize each of these characteristics towards your greatest achievement? I'm gonna ask you each of them. Just gonna rate them on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 being never used, and then 5 being you always use them. You ready?
Yep.
So how would you rank yourself in listening?
5.
Empathy.
4.
Healing.
Go to 3.
Hell yeah. Awareness.
5.
Persuasion.
3.
Conceptualization.
4.
Foresight.
5.
Stewardship.
5.
Commitment to the growth of the people.
5.
Interest in building community.
5.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Quick commercial break. Let's pause it right there, Patrick. You don't seem too enthused to be doing this interview. Good golly. But anyways, I just want to do a quick commercial break. Make sure to leave this assignment with 100%. Hugs and kisses to everybody. If you give me 100, I will give you a high five. Let's send it back to Patrick. Patrick, continue. That interruption is a quick commercial break. That's how we fund these episodes on Max and Patrick 24. We're just going to continue talking about the challenges that Maximo Ayon Rivera faced during his time, or his 7 years as product manager. Let's go ahead and send it back to Maximo Ayon.
Oh, it's good. Consider one significant challenge you've previously faced in that role, preferably one with an ethical dilemma.
Well, I had a guy quit recently, but I was already having issues with his performance. So when he came at me with, he needed time off. It was more of a, why do you need time off, And he expressed to me that he had some things to take care of. And at the end of it, it was more of a, he was really quitting, but he wasn't telling me he was quitting. So I had to kind of persuade him to give me the truth in that instance. Once he gave me that information, I had to make a choice on whether he should continue or I should fire him. Because he's not putting in his time, so he's not giving me the appropriate time for quitting, which would require 2 weeks, so he'd be breaking our policy on that. So it was a matter of, okay, well, maybe we should just split ways up now, because I felt like that was what was right for the company.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, what extent did you utilize each of the characteristics in overcoming your significant challenge? You ready?
5 being the highest.
5 being always, 1 being never used.
Okay.
So how would you rate yourself on listening? 1 through 5.
4.
Empathy.
4.
Healing.
4.
Awareness.
4.
Persuasion.
4.
Conceptualization.
3.
Foresight.
5.
Stewardship.
4.
Commitment to growth of people.
4.
Interest in building community.
5.
Boom! Oh yes, just a break from the action. Let's just hit a quick commercial break. We're gonna go over power bases and the impact of behavior. Let's get into it. Boom! Although I am knowledgeable on this topic, I think we should send this one to a professional. Let's send this to Patricio. Come on, Patricio. Come on in. Okay, Patrick, thanks for calling me in on this one. I am the professional when it comes to this topic. The power base that Maximo Ayon employed to the maximum extent was going to be coercive power. Coercive power? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me just go give a quick Google search on how to pronounce this one. Hold on, I'll be right back. Coercive power. What my father did. Maximo Ayon. What Maximo Ayon did. Wait, hold on. I'm the professional here. Let me go ahead and sit my behind down. He addressed the poor performance, and although he wasn't trying to intimidate this individual, he was just letting him know of the consequences of underperforming. He did have a bright idea in his mind that this man was going to be leaving the organization. So with that in mind, he also did use his legitimate power to address the performance issues, and also his expert power to help guide him into the right direction. We knew this vacation was not just going to be some, I'll be back soon. We knew he was out the door. All my father had to do was fish these truths out of this man so we can come to a conclusion earlier rather than later. Thanks for calling me in, Patrick. Let me just send you back. Let me just send it back to Patrick. Boom. Hold on, which one's my mic? Thanks for calling. Thank you, Patricio, for giving us your insight. I know you're a professional in this topic, so thank you for that insight. Let's send it back to Patrick. Boom! Yes, Patrick. Thank you for getting that expert's opinion on the topic of power bases and impact of behavior. Luckily, I didn't go over impact of behavior, actually. What do you mean by I, Patrick? You meant to say me? I'm glad we can go right back into it. Let's send it back to Patricio. He knows what he's talking about. Let's send it back to here. I forgot to go over the impacts of his behavior. So the impact of my father's behavior, Maximo's behavior, is by using these power bases, the leader was able to resolve the challenge fairly, maintain ethical standards, and minimize disruptions from team productivity. His behavior reinforced both authority and trust, ensuring the team is continued to function smoothly in the face of potential conflict. This demonstrates that combining formal authority, expertise, and rational influence is critical for effective leadership in real-world situations. Let me go ahead and send it back to Patrick. Boom! I'm feeling like the middleman here. But let's get back to our interview with Maximo Ayon. Let me go ahead and send it back to Patrick.
What was the mission, vision, and strategy of the organization, and how essential is an entrepreneurial mindset in achieving the mission, strategy of organization?
Well, for one, the vision is success. And two, profitability. Those stand out because entrepreneurship is obviously success and profitability, because that's what it's about. It's about the growth of the company, and profitability and success are combined are growth.
How essential is an entrepreneurial mindset in achieving this mission?
Because you got to think of the company as your own. When you're working in a leadership role, you got to think, this is my company, because that's how it's going to lead you to make better decisions.
Okay. Good answer. On a scale of 1 to 5, to what extent did you utilize each of these skills with respect to the entrepreneurial mindset? Ready?
Yeah.
1 through 5, 1 being never used, 5 being used always. How would you rate yourself on need to achieve?
5.
Openness to experience.
4.
Innovative creative ability.
5.
Propensity.
A 5.
Proactivity and work ethics.
5.
Internal locus of control.
Internal, that's 5.
So 2 significant lessons or attributes that are essential for success.
2 lessons. 1, I don't know how to give the lesson. I can word it in simple words where, 1, you have to be open-minded and accepting to everything. And 2, you have to communicate. Those are the 2 best ones for success for me.
Okay, and then describe anything you wish you had specifically avoided that may have derailed or delayed your success.
Myself, my own inner emotions affected a lot of my work. Like a lot of my emotions I personalized, and it affected the success of work.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Can I get a round of applause for Maximo Ayon for going ahead and giving us that interview? Can I get a round of applause? Now let's go into the application of leadership theories when talking about Maximo Ayon. So leadership theory that best describes the leader, Maximo Ayon, is going to be servant leadership. I know what you're probably thinking, what is servant leadership? Let me go ahead and give you a brief description. Let's send it to Patricio. Thank you, Patrick, sending it over to me. I'm just going to go over a brief definition. So a servant leader is someone who puts their team first instead of focusing on their own power status. Who is a good servant leader? Maximo Ayon. Let me get another round of applause for him. Maximo Ayon. The model was first articulated by Robert K. Greenleaf, emphasizing the leaders exist primarily to serve their team, putting employees' needs before personal gain, focusing on their growth. From the interview, several behaviors align with the servant leadership. The leader's priorities and safety and well-being of his team communicates clearly the expectation and task, and providing guidance to help team members develop their skills. Additionally, he leads by example, maintaining high productivity and work ethic, which reinforces his credibility to inspire the team. The impact of the approach is significant. By serving his team, the leader builds trust and respect. I was the first-hand witness of this because I did work for Mr. Maximo Ayon, but encourages accountability and fostering engagement. These behaviors ensure that the team operates efficiently and aligns with the broader organizational goals of safety, productivity, and profitability. Serving leadership in the context not only addresses operational outcomes, but also the strengths, team moral, cohesion, demonstrates that leadership effectiveness is achieved through service rather than authority alone. Let me go ahead and send that back to Patrick. Patrick, you take it from here. Thank you, Patrick. Let's go ahead and shift over to the leadership style comparison. We're going to go ahead and compare him. Can I please get to the slide? We're going to go ahead and compare Maximo Ayon to Howard Schultz. Let me go ahead and send this to a professional. Let's go ahead and call in Patrick without a C. Patrick without a C, let's go ahead and send it over to you.
Hi, this is Patrick C here. Patrick without a C here. The leadership of Maximo Ayon, the production manager at Arizona Rain and Gutters, aligns primarily with service leadership. This approach about serving team prioritizes safety, productivity, and communication. We already know this, okay? But for comparison, Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks, also demonstrates service leadership, but he integrates transformational elements. Schultz's strengths of the interviewed leader include strong operational oversight, hands-on involvement, and ensuring team members are supported and accountable. In contrast, Schultz's strength lie in vision, employee engagement, and cultural influence at a large scale. While a possible weakness is that decision-making can take longer due to the broad organizational scope, the comparison highlights how servant leadership principles can be effective in both small and large organizations, but the scope, scale, and additional leadership approaches like transformational leadership shape their overall impact. Thank you for calling me in, Patrick. This is Patrick with a C out. Let's send it back to Patrick.
Thank you so much, Patrick without a C. Seems like you don't know your own name, but we're going to finish up on this topic. And then last, but certainly not least, boom, throw it up there. Critical reflection of the interview and the research process. Let's go. What I learned from the interview is that communication is key. The reason that one stick out so much to me is because I feel like I did not do a proper job communicating the questions that I was asking and therefore got lackluster responses from my interviewee. I think had I done a more thorough job explaining the questions to their full depth, I would have gotten a way better interview and more information to truly grasp onto and learn from. I don't think I did a very superb job asking follow-up questions, but the one time I did ask a follow-up question, I did exclude it from the interview because I felt it was a bit personal, is when my father was further explaining how his emotions getting to him really helped him back, or my interviewee really held him back from getting the proper job opportunities that would have come to him had he left his emotions at the door. And the reason that I chose to interview Maximo Ayon is because it was easy to get a hold of him, but also because he comes from a similar background to me. I feel like the only person that I would truly be able to relate to would be my father because we've grown up in such similar circumstances with similar cultures, and I felt that that would be the most compelling person to interview because I love my dad. Although I selected Howard Schultz because he's a well-known leader who demonstrates a similar people-focused leader style, but on a much larger global scale as comparison to my interviewee. That's it for Patrick and me 24. I'm gonna leave my references right here. You see that? That was slick! That was slick! I want to thank Maximo Ayon, Little Max, Patrick, Patricio, Patrick without a C. Love to all. Hugs and kisses. I'll see you later, alligator. See me next Sunday at 12 a.m. when I get all my schoolwork done.